Good morning. Hi, I'm Stacy. This is Loving My Veteran, and we are walking in my shoes this morning. Good morning, everyone. Grab some coffee. I'm gotta have my coffee there. Just want to give people a second. Make sure I get the phone cut off. The volume anyway. So. See if I can make a little chat pop up like it's supposed to, because I'm really getting the hang of this now. Hello, I got this. So good morning. It is Thursday, actually. Now, I got a few things done. All right. We have been talking about should I stay or should I go? It is a question that we deal with a lot. We all ask ourselves this. It is not something new, y'all. I'll fix these lights, I promise, next week. It is not something new that we go through. It is just one of those things that we all ask that. We all ask those questions. Should I stay? Should I go? It's just stuff that we ask. Good morning, Sarah. And yes, happy birthday. Loving My Veteran is a year old this month. Ooh, our birthday celebration month. This is it. So I'm way scatterbrained this morning. So y'all have to excuse me because that, I guess, is just what happens when we get excited about things. One more sip of coffee. There we go. Should I stay or should I go? We've talked about so many reasons about how we all feel that way. And it's not just a PTSD relationship thing. It is an everything relationship thing. And we all ask ourselves, we ask that at work. Should I stay at this job or should I leave? You know, we get frustrated at work. I'm going to leave work. I'm not going to be part of work. I'm done. Good morning, Erica. I don't want to do this anymore. I hate my job. Do I stay? Do I go somewhere else? We do it at work? We do it at home. We talk about it all the time. We all think about it. Should I stay or should I go? And we talked about yesterday some of the things that we think about and how we need to go forward into these. And I'm going to go back to what Carl said to me, and he keeps saying this to me, and I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it completely, but I learned a lot about it last night. Taking yourself out of the situation, removing yourself from the situation. Just while you're in it and the situation's about you, sometimes you have to pull yourself out of it. Sometimes you have to take a step back and you have to look at the whole situation. And that's hard to do when you were engaged in the middle of it and you're in your room crying, what the hell did I get myself into? Sorry. What did I get myself into? It's hard to do that. It is hard because we have to look objectively and start looking at all of these things that made you feel this way. What made you feel this way? What made you feel this way? You know, this walking in my shoes is always a story of mine, Carl's life. So y'all get it. We have very little stuff that we don't share. We had a bad day yesterday. Okay. Just a bad day yesterday, to the point that I really sat there and said, I don't know, honey, if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And he's like, what? And it was us. And we had argued over some really trivial stuff. And I was so mad. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. You need to go. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't fight this anymore. And let's just say we did not have a great day. And of course, that wasn't the best thing to say. The get out, the leave, the do all this. I'm done. Where do you want to go? I just can't do this. It's hard because I think at some point we've all done that. And the more I sat up last night and the more I started thinking about it last night and the more I started pulling myself out of the situation. And he always tells me that. Pull yourself out of the situation. Pull yourself out of the situation. Pull yourself out of the situation. And he tells me that all the time. So you can see the whole picture. And I don't think about that so often. I don't think about pulling myself out and looking at it way more objectively. So let me tell you kind of where some of the things are that we've gone through, because I'm the open book and I just lay it out there. So my whole life I've paramedicked, right? And in January last year, I said you can't do that. So that was a hard thing for me. I am a good morning, Nakia. I am a control freak. For those of you who already know me, know that I am a control freak. I want total control. I want control over my life. I want control over finances. I want control over what we eat. I want to pick the restaurant. That is just me. I'm that type A personality, control freak, all the way on down. Like if I say we're going to go out somewhere, I'm like, hey, can you put on something decent? Your version of decent better be my version of decent. Okay. Because that's just how I am. And it is my flaw. I mean, maybe it is a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know, but that's who I am. So I think in January, I realized that my life is spinning out of control. And that was hard for me, and I didn't communicate that. I didn't communicate that my life was spinning out of control. And maybe sometimes the arguments we get into, you have to look at yourself sometimes. My life was spinning out of control. Miss Control Freak. Want more money, work more hours. That was simple for me. Want more money, work more hours. I worked EMS. You work all the hours you want. Want more money, work more hours. So I never worried about finances. I had total control. When you're a paramedic on an ambulance, you are a total control freak. That's just who you are. It's public safety. It's what we do. I had control over my job. I had control over so much. I had control over my life. When I was a really brittle diabetic, I even had, but the diabetes was out of control, but I controlled it, at least in my mind, because I controlled what I put in my mouth, or I told where I could make those sugars be exactly where I wanted them to be. I am that kind of a control freak. Well, when January came into play, I lost control. I lost control of my job. I didn't have that ability anymore. I was told in the very beginning, you can't even carry laundry up and down the stairs. I don't want you doing dishes. You can't sweep a floor. You can't do. Are you nuts? This is who I am. Like, and this was yesterday's whole thing. I went in to go heat up lunch, and all of a sudden I was, there's some dishes that need to be done. Let me wash the dishes while I'm doing lunch. And then my ADHD brain sees the cabinets and, they need to be wiped off. So let me wipe off the cabinets. Oh, well, now that I'm looking at the cabinets, the floor needs to be swept and mopped. And all this thing is going on. And I'm really hungry and I have a headache. And Carl Cousins like, I thought you were going to eat. You have a headache. Well, I need to do this stuff first. And by this point, I'm like, and if you would have grabbed a broom, it wouldn't be this long. I already have it mopped, right? He didn't ask for any of that, but that's where my brain was going, because I'm just one of those multitaskers who's able to do that. I'm having a hard time realizing I can't do that anymore. So we have to let go of things. And when your life changes and you don't have that kind of control anymore, all of a sudden things start to spiral. I don't have control over my health. I don't have control over a lot of things. When we formed Loving Our Veteran, and happy birthday again to us. Ooh, I'm so excited. When we formed Loving My Veteran, in the very beginning, it wasn't supposed to be this way. And I had total control over every bit of it. And I absolutely, positively love the board that we have, who has stepped up to the plate and helps us and do whatever. But let me tell you, a type A control freak personality, it is hard to let go of that. Now, I love these people and I totally trust them. And I am so glad that I am letting go of it. It's taken me a long time. I don't realize it. So it goes back to that mission and that control, and control our environment. And when things don't stay in my control, I get angry and I'm like, screw this. I want out. That's how I get. Screw this. I want out. And so I had to realize that it was my own head that's like, should I stay or should I go? This man sits here and puts up with this shit. Now, I'm not saying that he isn't guilty of doing his things too, and that we don't have our arguments and we don't have our moments of situations we probably shouldn't get to. But look, it's easy when you lose control to want to leave. because we want to control our environment. So it's easy. It is super easy that when we go through this, that we want to leave. That's what happens with us. Okay. That's how things work. It is super easy that way. I'm trying to see if these chats are working again. So it is tough sometimes. It's tough. And when we lose control, it's easy to say, let's go somewhere else. Ever been at the restaurant, and you're craving this particular food, and you get there and there's like a 10-hour wait, right? And there's this like 10-hour wait to get in the restaurant, and you're like storming because you wanted this particular food, and you lose control. And you're like, you know what? It's great. We just won't eat here. I mean, they've come to you now. You've been there like 3 hours, and they come to you now. Your table will be ready in 15 minutes. They're clearing it now. And by this point, you're mad. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. And when one suddenly becomes disabled, it's a huge learning curve with no prior experience. You're right. Okay, we didn't learn that. I mean, that was like tough navigation for us. Tough navigation for us. So my health is not in my control. I mean, there's so many things that are not in my control. And then you have Stacy, who's a control freak, right? And then you have the veteran who's a control freak because they control their environment. That's what they do when they're successful at what they do. They control their environment, right? And you got all this butting heads going on, and you're like, wait a minute. And so the frustration gets to this point. Should I stay or should I go? I'm in this. I'm all in this. I love him with every part of my being. I needed a reality check. And I was talking to Michelle this morning, and I'm thinking about some of the things that go on and how we misinterpret words that make us feel the way we feel sometimes, even though that's not what it's about. And I'll give you an example to this. I had a pulmonary embolism in my sleep forever ago. Okay. Carl does not sleep at night when I'm asleep. He stays awake to make sure I'm breathing because his job and his mission is to take care of me. So he'll get up in the morning. I'm like, did you get any sleep? No, I'm tired. I'm not going to sleep when I'm worried about you. And so now I twist that and say, I feel guilty. I'm like, but I didn't make you, you need to sleep. I'm okay. And he's like, I'm not going to sleep. And so I twist it around and I make it about me. And then I feel guilty. And then he's not going to sleep anyway. So you might as well get over that. I'm not going to stop feeling guilty about it. So you may as well get over that. And you have to learn that it's okay. You have to learn that it's not my fault he's not sleeping. I have to learn that. Okay. That's on him. That's not on me. And when he says what he says, no, I'm not sleeping because I'm worried about you. We all sit here and scream, we want honesty. He's honest with me. I just take it the wrong way and I turn it. So you have to start, as Carl puts it, stepping out. And sometimes it's stepping out 2 times, or sometimes it's stepping out 3 times, or sometimes it's stepping out 4 times. Han says, suddenly being deemed disabled is a hard pill to swallow after a successful life. Yeah. It's hard. You lose that control. It's tough. It's super tough. So you have to learn to see things. When we say, should we stay or should we go? I'm not leaving this relationship. I'm not leaving this relationship. But I need to learn. We all need to learn to step out of the situation and look at it differently. Stay in the relationship. You can make that part work. Your going needs to be stepping out of the situation and seeing it from both sides of this. We think about so many things when we talk about past baggage. When we talk about past baggage, right? We talk about that all the time. Past baggage, past baggage, past baggage. I totally provided for my ex-husband and my family. I totally provided for them. So I see everything about if we can't make the finances work, it's my fault. And I want a certain lifestyle, or Carl might say he wants something, or we may talk about something we need, or whatever it is. And because I was so programmed to providing and being the one who took care of that, I'm not real good at leaning on him and communicating with him. Hey, babe, we don't have the money for this. Because I've always said, I got this, I'll make it work. And then I get frustrated because something gets spent or something happens, and I'm like screaming and I'm angry and I'm like, screw this, I can't do this anymore. But that is from past baggage. It doesn't mean that's that expectation. That doesn't mean that's that expectation. And then, and he says to me, and it doesn't matter what the conversation about, hey, did you get this? And he goes, does it matter? And I'm like, yeah, it does. And he says, but you always come first. I've never lived in a world where I came first. I don't even know how to accept that world. Okay. So you have to learn. So when he says stuff to me, I take it as hurtful because I'm using the other stuff. And when I say stuff back to him and I'm pushing him to be better, and he's like, well, now you're like my ex-wife and you're nagging me. No, we're not. We're both trying to make each other better, but we're so wrapped up in the thing that we just want to scream, we're done. And we don't take time to step out. He is way better at stepping out of the situation and looking at it than I am. Hands down. Hands down. So being done is fine. You can be done with a situation. And the only way that situation is going to improve is when you learn to step out of it and look at it objectively. You know, we call our friends for advice. And that, I think, is one of the things that I hear more people complain about, right? Is they call their friend. Well, you know, I talked to my friend, but she's not married to a veteran and she doesn't understand all this at all. And my friend says you should leave. Well, first of all, what skeletons are in your friend's closet? So let's just go there, because people are way good at giving advice that they're not willing to take. Okay. And I do it. I mean, I tell y'all things that we should be doing and I know works. It doesn't mean I always do it. So I screw up at that. But how often do we go to friends for advice when they don't know the whole situation? There is no way, absolutely zero way, anybody can know the entire situation if they don't live it. So sometimes you have to step out of the situation. And as Carl says, remove yourself once or twice. If you're still tied to it after one removal, move yourself back again and look at the situation, because only you and whoever the situation's with, whether it's your boss, your partner, your spouse, your kid, whoever you're having a conflict with, only the two of you know the entire situation. So step out of it. Then look at it differently. Then you can think about how did it get this way? What could I have done different? What could they have done different? I'm not saying it's all us or it's all them. What could have been done different? And are my emotions part of this? So, you know, should I stay or should I go? It's a yes, yes. Stay. But sometimes you have to go. Sometimes you have to go from the situation and back out and look at it different. Because we're the only people, you know, I share a lot. I talk to some of these ladies on here a lot, like on a regular basis. You know, Michelle, Nakia, Stephanie, we talk like all the time. And we all know an awful lot about each other. And we can all, you know, give advice to each other. But at the end of the day, we are not the ones who know 100% what's going on. The only people who know that are us. The only people who know that are us. So sometimes we have to back out. And I'm having a hard time with that because I'm not good at giving up control. And when I start to back out of that situation and I start to take that step backwards out of that situation, to me, it's like losing control. I'm like, no, 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 no. I want you to go down this road. And we laugh about that. He says I'm a side seat driver, right? We laugh about that now. I mean, we don't always. But how many times have you ever looked at your GPS and it gives you 6 routes to go to get to the same place? And it says, this route might be a minute longer. This route may be a minute, whatever. Well, if one of them, if you're afraid of bridges, and one of them requires you to go across a bridge that's 95 feet above the water and it's narrow and it's rickety, you're going to go like 20 miles an hour to get across it. You might sit at the bottom for a few minutes to make your decision to cross it, versus the other road that you drive all the time that you're comfortable on. Guess what? You're going to get there faster by the road that you're comfortable on that may say takes longer. Or if there's a wreck on this, you may get there the other way. There's a lot of ways to get to the same place, but you have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at the whole picture. I'll GPS stuff all the time, like directions. And then I realized that the smartest way when we travel is to use Waze, because Waze tells you in real time if there's a wreck, if there's a flat tire, if there's construction, whatever, it tells you in real time. And the darn GPS doesn't know that. It just knows from point A to point B how to get to your coordinates. And it's all about learning to step out and see the whole picture. And we don't. None of us do it. It's very hard to do it consistently. Because when you get caught up in it, you're caught up in it. And by human nature, we go, oh, poor me. We do that, right? We do that. And we got to stop. We have to learn to back out and become the Waze of our relationship and look at all of the stuff. And if anybody's never driven with Waze, it's like the greatest thing ever. They tell you where the police are. They tell you if there's a vehicle on the side of the road and which side of the road it's on. They tell you if there's construction. They give you little icons and you see it all. And then when people come by and it's still there, they hit the little button, it's still there. So literally, if you could step out and look at your life like you're the Waze app, and you're like, oh, this is what we tackled. And this was the pitfall before, and this is, and so the disabled vehicle is no longer on the side of the road. So this part of my relationship is no longer a problem, or this part of this situation is no longer a problem. Yeah, that's going to get me to the next step faster, right? It is that way. And that's how we need to look at our life. We need to look at our relationships like we're living in the Waze app. If we'd start to do that, take yourself back and look at the little screen that tells you this is point A and point B, and it gives you all the side streets. And it tells you that. And it tells you where the problems are. And so when you look at the whole picture, now you see the problems. And then when you go back again, the same vehicle isn't disabled on the side of the road. You might have another roadblock, even on that same journey. So staying or going isn't talking about physically in the house or out of the house. And I'm telling him, I need you to leave. I am done with this. I meant it. I really meant it yesterday. I was at a breakdown point, and it wasn't necessarily him. It was my mental state was like, I really don't know if I can do this anymore. I really didn't know that. I didn't know that. But when I sat down and finally calmed down and listened to his advice and sat up for hours and calmed my head, I started to step out. I started to step back. I started to see the whole situation for what it was. Did we both make mistakes? Yes, we did. Did we both make mistakes? Yeah, we did. Are they correctable mistakes? Yes. They're like the disabled vehicle on the side of the road that we can get past and won't be there next time. And that's got to become the mentality that you use. Stay in this relationship. Stay in this relationship. Go from the situation. And so you're right. Your heart and your brain start screaming nonsense, because what happens is when you get caught up in the moment, especially anger moments, well, even good moments, when you get caught up in a moment, your heart takes control. Your heart flat out takes control, and it tells your head to do stupid things. It does. So if you're angry and you've got all this fuel and this stuff going on, your heart is like, and so your emotions take over, and you can't think reasonably. You can't think reasonably when you have no rationale behind it. When your emotions take over, there is no rationale. There's none. Zero. So when you get past that emotion and take that emotion out or step away from that emotion, now your head can come in and say, damn, I did this wrong, or this was wrong, or here was the roadblock, or here was this, or here was that. And I ain't saying nothing. Y'all know, we all know where babies come from. Okay. We all know where babies come from, but how many babies come because the emotion gets involved and not your brain? How many babies, because how many people say, well, we weren't expecting this one. We didn't mean for this to happen. I don't know how this happened. Sister, I know how it happens. Okay. That's about if you don't know how it happened, we all know how it happens, but your emotions take over a lot of times, and your head doesn't think this is nuts because that's what controls you. And the same thing happens in almost every argument we all get in. It's got to do with your emotions taking over. So whether it is hurt, whether it is anger, whether it is frustration, whether it is love, whatever it is, your emotions take over the situation, and they clog the thing that gets to your head to let it use its rationale. It happens. It happens. That's why we have better conversations when we're calm. That's why Carlos forever, calm down. Settle down. We do this all the time. Our emotions take over, and our head don't work right. And I know there's a lot of women out here, so let me just put it. How many times have we all said that a man needs to think with the head up here sometimes and not the head down there sometimes? Okay, we said that, and that's perfectly logical, and they all agree to that. So sometimes we got to start thinking with this, with our emotions, and start thinking with this. And you can't do that till you remove yourself from the situation and look at it differently. So these hurtful words we're saying, I'm done. Maybe the much better word will be stop. Pause. Pause. Oh, girl, I know. I've been known to shout, I don't want to calm down. That was ugly yesterday. Carl be like, calm down. I'm like, don't ever tell a control freak they need to calm down. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. Don't ever tell a control freak they need to calm down. That ain't gonna work. But the reality is, when we're not calm, we're not thinking with this, we're thinking with our emotions. And that's what happens. And that's what causes explosions. And that's what causes us to run in that room and cry and say, what the hell am I doing here? And when we go in that room and we cry, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I still in this? But we don't start removing ourselves to see what really happened, because when we're in there crying, why am I doing this? We're still thinking with this and not with this. Because logic says things get loud. well, you need to leave. Logic says when things get thrown across the room, oh, we need to leave. And I was the one who threw stuff yesterday, not him. My poor little Snapple. And you all know how hard it is to find Diet Peach Snapple tea in where I live. And I found a 6-pack, and they now in plastic bottles, thank you, God. And I threw the package across the room, and I broke one. It wasn't him that threw it, was me. My emotions were, whoo. And what did I do? I got Diet Snapple on my freshly mopped floor. I lost a Diet Snapple up along the way, and I acted like a 2-year-old brat, and I wasn't listening to one thing he was trying to say because my anger and my rage and my frustration were way overriding my head, because I'm here to tell you, my brain would never say, throw your Diet Snapple across the room. I'm just saying. But that's the reality. And until you start stepping back, I think about this, y'all. If people would have videotaped that, yeah, I mean, some of the world would have thought it was kind of ugly, but if people would videotape that who walk in our shoes, they'd be like laughing. We could be an entertainment comedy TV on that TV. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you that would be us. Because you're like, oh my God, I can't believe she just did that. And people would say that. Oh my God, I can't believe she just did that. And that's what we do. So I want to change that up. I want to understand, I'm never going to tell somebody leave your spouse. I'm never going to do that. Because I don't live with you 24/7. Are there times you have to leave your spouse? Yeah, I did it twice. I was married to a junkie and a control freak. I did it twice. So I don't judge anybody on leaving their spouse. But that is a decision only I could make. That isn't a decision that my mama could make for me. I can remember calling my brother when I told him that I was divorcing Woody, and he said, Stacy. But he adopted those boys when they were really little, and he raised them like they're his own. Don't you think you owe this to him? I'm like, the fuck? Are you in my house 24/7? Are you in my house 24/7? So unless you are, don't judge me. And that's where I think we get when we do this. You're not in my house 24/7. Carl and I are in my house 24/7. We're the ones who see it. So that's where I'm going with this. Should I stay or should I go? Nobody can give you that advice. Only you can make that choice. But what I am going to tell you is stay. Go from the situation and distance yourself from the situation and look at it objectively. And y'all, it doesn't happen every, I mean, you could be in this rage. You're not going to be able to walk in the other room and say, okay, now that I've just blown up, let me go walk in this other room and start distancing myself. It don't happen that fast. Okay. It doesn't work that quick. It takes a little time to process it. That's why I like the Kia and we'll come back in 2 hours. Look, the way I was acting yesterday, we should have come back in 2 weeks. We didn't, okay? And it's not that easy, and it takes practice. It takes practice to learn to do this. So sometimes you got to go from the situation and remove yourself not only physically from it, but mentally from it, step by step by step, till you look at the situation like you're looking at the Waze app. Look at the situation like you're looking at the Waze app. If there's road construction, that's going to go away. If there's a tire in the road, that's going to go away. If there's a police officer up there, by the time you get there, he's usually gone. But if the damn bridge is collapsed and you're coming back there tomorrow, I assure you the bridge will probably still be collapsed. The only way you're going to know is to look at your relationship like the Waze app. You can't reasonably talk if you can't reason at the moment. Oh, girl, I like that. I couldn't reason nothing yesterday. Nothing yesterday. Nothing would reason with me yesterday. So I just want to put that out there. All right, I'm going to get off of here. We have Let's Talk tonight. It is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It is an event on our Facebook page. Again, happy birthday for all y'all, because this has been everybody's adventure. We are officially a nonprofit in Georgia today, and all that paperwork is being submitted today. We are well on our way to our 501c3. Yay. To our new board of directors, they are on the group and the Facebook page. Thank you again for carrying this vision and this load. It has been amazing. You guys are truly amazing. And I cannot say enough to thank Carl for putting up with my shit day in and day out. And I'm not perfect, and he's not perfect, but we're pretty perfect together. And I love him. But I can't thank him enough either. He lets me do this. Not that he lets me do anything. He is supportive of me doing this every single day. And he is supportive of me sharing our story every day. So I have to put that out there. All right. I will see y'all tonight. Let's talk. We have lots and lots and lots of stuff coming up. Y'all have a blessed day. I am Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Bye.